modern world has labeled Australia the land of nope. And honestly, they're not wrong. It's the only place where a spider can send you to the hospital, a jellyfish can stop your heart. In 90 seconds, and stepping on the wrong pine cone could literally kill you. But what if I told you that modern-day Australia, venomous snakes and all, is actually the tame version of what once was? You see, 50,000 years ago, when the first humans set foot on this land, they didn't just find crocodiles and kangaroos. They found a continent crawling with monsters. Monsters you've probably never heard of. Because long before it became the land of nope, Australia was something far worse. The most dangerous place in history. Wanambi, the snake that couldn't swallow you, so it ripped you apart. We start at the water's edge, a shallow creek, still, quiet, where animals and humans come to drink, and predators wait. This is where Wanambi lived. No splash, no warning, just a sudden eruption from the reeds. Mud flies, coils slam into the earth. The ground itself comes alive. Wanambi was a prehistoric serpent, nearly 20 feet long, thick, heavy, and built to ambush. It wasn't venomous, no fangs, no poison, just raw, old-school brutality. Strike, coil, crush. Its grip shut down lungs and blood flow in seconds. But what came next was worse. Wanambi couldn't swallow large prey whole. Its jaws were primitive and inflexible. So instead, it ripped them apart. With hooked teeth and brutal strength, it tore prey to pieces. Fossils suggest disembowelment, not eating, but dismantling. Wanambi didn't consume you. It processed you, and it hunted smart at waterholes. The only places where prey let their guard down, you wouldn't hear it. You wouldn't see it. Just motion, then pressure, then pain. You weren't swallowed, you were taken apart. And in a land full of killers, this snake was one of the most terrifying of all. Baru, the crocodile that slammed you to death. You've made it out of the snake-infested wetland alive, exhausted, maybe bleeding. Fresh water lies ahead. It feels safer. It isn't. Because just beneath the surface waits Baru Daroi, one of the most brutal predators in prehistoric Australia. Baru was a crocodilian, but not like the ones we know today. Modern crocs bite and drown. Baru did something else. It slammed. At over 7 meters long, nearly 23 feet, Baru was a living battering ram. When it attacked, it didn't just bite. It smashed prey into the ground. Again and again. Using its skull and neck like a bludgeon, Baru delivered repeated bone-breaking impacts. Fossils show fractures and trauma consistent with blunt force punishment, not quick kills. And the jaws? Worse. A wide, deep skull packed with crushing teeth strong enough to crack bone, collapse ribs, and snap limbs like twigs. But its real advantage wasn't strength. It was location. Baru didn't lurk in deep rivers. It preferred shallows, creeks, floodplains, drying waterholes. Places you could walk through. Places you had to walk through. Ankle-deep water looked harmless. But beneath it, a 7-meter missile waited in silence. One step too far and Baru erupted from the mud, slamming you so hard escape wasn't even possible. You didn't get dragged under. You got broken on the spot. In a land full of venom and claws, Baru chose a simpler weapon, raw force. And if you heard the splash, it was already over. Dromornis, the bird built for war. You've escaped the rivers. The monsters in the water are behind you. You step onto open plains, no trees, no shadows. Finally, peace, until you see it. Something's still in the heat haze. At first, it looks like a massive emu, but as you get closer, the shape sharpens. This is Dromornis stertoni, the thunderbird, nearly 3 meters tall, over half a ton, as heavy as a grizzly bear. And it didn't fly. It didn't need to. Because Dromornis wasn't built to run. It was built to stand its ground. Muscle-packed legs, thick, heavy frame, and a head shaped like a medieval weapon. Its beak, broad, flat, edged like a battle axe. Dromornis was probably herbivorous. But that beak wasn't just for leaves. It could shatter bone. That's not a gardening tool. That's a weapon. Some scientists believe it scavenged, maybe even hunted. Whether it did or not doesn't matter. The power was real. If you startled it, you didn't get chased, you got smashed. One strike could crush a skull or snap a limb. No claws, no teeth. But it didn't need them. Because in prehistoric Australia, even the birds were built for war. And this one didn't fly. It faced you. So next time you think you found safety in the open, just remember, even the quiet ones might be hiding blunt force trauma on their face. Palorchestis, the clawed nightmare that shouldn't exist. You've survived the waterholes. You've crossed the plains. Now you slip into the forest quiet, shaded, still. You think you finally found safety. Then you see it. A large animal, half hidden in the trees. Too big for a wombat, too awkward for a kangaroo. Something in between. It's not startled. It doesn't run. It looks like it owns the forest. This is Palorchestis azael, one of the strangest creatures ever to walk prehistoric Australia. It weighed up to 2 tons, about the size of a modern white rhino. Slow, low to the ground, heavy-limbed and strange. From a distance, you might mistake it for a giant tapir or a prehistoric moose. But up close, things get weird, fast. First, the head. Its skull suggests a short, flexible, trunk-like snout, a grabby little nose for tugging at plants. Odd, sure. But then you see the arms, and everything changes. When Palorchestis reared up, it revealed 2 massive forelimbs packed with muscle and tipped with huge curved claws. These weren't just for digging roots, they were weapons. Strong enough to rip bark, tear through shrubs, or maul anything that got too close. And here's the twist. It didn't need to be a predator to be dangerous. That kind of raw strength, it could defend territory or attack if provoked. Wander too close during breeding season? Step between a mother and her young? You wouldn't get chased, you'd get shredded. Palorchestis didn't pounce, it didn't sprint. It just stood its ground and ripped. Imagine a demonic cross between a sloth, a moose, and a forest bulldozer. It shouldn't exist, but it did. And in the shadowy woods of ancient Australia, it was yet another reminder. Even the plant eaters could tear you apart. Quinkana, the land crocodile that hunted on foot. You're done with the rivers. You've escaped the ambush predators, the crocodiles that lunge and drag. Dry land means safety. Open ground means you can see what's coming. Right? Wrong. Because this is Quinkana the crocodile that didn't need water. It hunted on foot. Up to 6 meters long, nearly 20 feet, and built like a tank on stilts, Quinkana wasn't flat-bellied, like modern crocs. It had long, upright legs, lifting its body high off the ground. It didn't crawl. It walked, and when it needed to, it ran. This was a crocodile adapted for the chase. It moved with surprising speed and agility, stalking through forests and across plains like a predator with purpose. And then there were the teeth. Quinkana's jaws didn't hold you in place, they cut you down. Its teeth were zyphodont sharp, serrated, and curved like steak knives. These were the same kind of teeth used by theropod dinosaurs, designed not for crushing, but for ripping through flesh. A single bite could open arteries, tear muscles, and send prey into shock before they had a chance to react. There was no need to drag you into water. You bled out right where you stood. But Quinkana's true terror wasn't just its size or bite, it was where it hunted. It didn't wait by waterholes. It patrolled the same land early humans walked, the same trails animals used to migrate, the same clearings you thought were safe. It was a land ambush specialist hiding behind brush, moving low, using cover, then exploding. Into motion with bone-shattering power. To ancient humans, it shattered the rules. Crocodiles were supposed to stay in rivers. But Quinkana rewrote that logic. It turned land into a hunting ground. So picture this. You're moving through dry scrub. It's quiet, safe. You're alert but not panicked. Then in a blur of motion and muscle, a 6-meter crocodile on legs erupts from behind a tree, jaws wide, teeth like saws. You're not being dragged into water, you're being run down. Because Quinkana didn't wait for prey to come close. It closed the distance itself. It didn't lurk. It pursued. And once it locked onto you, escape wasn't likely. Not out here. Not on its turf. Mealania, the armored turtle from hell. You see a turtle, and your brain relaxes, slow, harmless, maybe even friendly. Then you realize this isn't a turtle. This is Mealania, and it came from hell. Over 8 feet long, armored from head to tail, and carrying a skull that looked more like a medieval helmet than a reptile. Its shell, reinforced like a tank. Its tail, tipped with spiked clubs like a mace. This wasn't some shy, mud-loving herbivore. This was a walking fortress with a built-in warhammer. And Mealania didn't retreat into its shell. It swung. Those tail clubs could shatter bones, knock down predators, or crush limbs with one blow. You didn't sneak up on it. You didn't chase it off. If you picked a fight, you left with fewer ribs. It lived on land, not water, which made things worse. You couldn't just swim away or wait it out. It met you face to face. And while it may have grazed on plants, nothing about Mealania said peaceful. It looked like something built to defend a castle, but instead it defended itself. In a world of claws, venom, and teeth, this turtle chose armor and blunt force. So if you see a shadow with horns on its head and clubs on its tail, run, because Mealania wasn't slow. It was inevitable. Megalania, the aggressive monitor. You're limping away from the watering hole, still shaken from nearly losing a leg to a turtle. You think you're in the clear until you hear it, a low hiss, then fast, heavy steps cutting through the underbrush. This isn't a snake, it's a charge. Meet Megalania, a now extinct giant monitor lizard, a cousin of the modern Komodo dragon. But this one didn't wait, it hunted head-on. Megalania may have stretched over 4 meters long, more than 13 feet of muscle, claws, and venomous rage. It was low to the ground but fast, with limbs built to lunge and crush. Its weapons? Long, hooked claws great for tearing into flesh. A tail like a whip strong enough to knock you flat. Jaws filled with recurved, serrated teeth designed to hold on. And worst of all, venom. Its modern relatives carry anticoagulant venom, which means you don't stop bleeding. No quick death, just slow, steady blood loss. So even if you escaped, you wouldn't last long. The venom worked over time, turning every step into a countdown. Because Megalania didn't need to chase you forever. It just needed one bite. Then it backed off, watched from the shadows, waited. This was a predator that didn't rely on brute force. It weaponized patience. And in the wilds of ancient Australia, once it bit you, you didn't run, you bled. Diprotodon, the wombat that crushed predators. Let's end with a giant, not a reptile, not a hunter, a marsupial. This is Diprotodon optatum, the largest marsupial to ever live. It looked like a wombat. If wombats were 4 meters long, 2 meters tall, and weighed 3.5 tons, heavier than a modern rhino. Yes, it was a herbivore. No claws, no fangs, no venom. But it didn't need them, because when you're that big, your body is the weapon. Diprotodon had tusk-like incisors, thick bones, and legs strong enough to bulldoze forests. Or predators. It didn't run, it charged. Fossils show predator bones with impact damage, likely from full-speed collisions. Some scientists believe it was highly territorial. Too close? No warning, no growl, just flattened. It could trample threats, shove aside megafauna, and leave shattered trees and regrets behind. For early humans, it was a risk. Yes, they hunted it, but one mistake? You weren't a hunter, you were a smear. Worse, Diprotodons likely moved in herds. Startle one, and you might face 6 prehistoric bulldozers charging at once. That's not a hunt. That's suicide. In a land full of predators, Diprotodon wasn't the scariest, until it snapped. Then it wasn't prey, it was a tank. And if it picked you to run over, you didn't get chased, you got pancaked. The most dangerous creature of all. Pause for a second. Think about what we've just survived. A snake that tore you apart, a bird with a beak like a cleaver, crocodiles that ran, turtles the size of cars that could break bone, Wombats the size of rhinos that didn't run, they flattened. And here's the terrifying part. They didn't live centuries apart. They lived together at the same time, in the same place. Then, humans arrived. You'd think they'd run, hide, die out, but they didn't. They hunted. They adapted. They survived. They didn't run from monsters. They became one. So maybe the deadliest creature in ancient Australia wasn't the one with claws or venom or teeth. It was the one with a spear, a plan, and fire in their hands. If you thought this was wild, just wait until you hear what roamed the forests of South America or the icy wastes of Siberia. Hit subscribe and join us as we uncover the forgotten monsters that once ruled the earth. Until next time, keep looking over your shoulder.